What's the relation between history and natural science? That's the question for this episode of Theories of History. Hi there, I'm Jostein, and I make videos about theories of history and historical literature. If you're as nerdy as me or simply like my videos, feel free to press that subscribe button and the bell so we can see each other again soon. Today I'll be discussing Wilhelm Windelband's lecture from 1894, entitled History and Natural Science. I've put a link to the lecture and some recommended reading in the description below. Windelband worked as professor of philosophy and was elected rector at the University of Strasbourg, and this lecture was his rectorial address. As a philosopher, he believed that philosophy still had a role to play in exploring our knowledge of the world, and this lecture is just such an exploration. By the late 19th century, history was considered an empirical science, after the model of the natural sciences. It was either given the task of finding the laws of human development, such was the demand of positivism, or of simply describing the past as it really was, such was the demand of historicism. But Windelband wasn't satisfied with this, and asked the question, what is the relation between history and the natural sciences? His objective is both to show that this is a question that must be answered philosophically, and to liberate history from the grasp of the natural sciences. The immediate background of Windelband's question was an attempt by another Wilhelm, who was also a philosopher, namely Wilhelm Dilthey, to answer the exact same question. In his proposed solution, Dilthey tried to develop a distinct methodology for what he called the sciences of the mind, or the human sciences, which could serve as an independent foundation distinct from the methodology of the natural sciences. Dilthey argued that, whereas the natural sciences dealt with outer experiences, the human sciences, such as psychology, sociology, and history, dealt with inner experiences, experiences of the mind. They therefore had different subject matters, and necessarily must employ different methods. Windelband rejects Dilthey's division of the sciences, and proposes a division of his own. He argues that both the so-called sciences of the mind and the natural sciences are empirical and try to give us knowledge of reality. Therefore, both have the same subject matter, since both of them investigate reality. The difference lies rather in their purpose and method. According to Windelband, history and natural science have two different interests when studying empirical facts, like for instance the development of language. Natural science seeks to find regularities, what repeats itself according to a recognizable pattern, like the laws of nature, or how language changes in similar ways across cultures and ages. For natural science, an empirical fact is only a step on the way to finding out why it happened, so that we can identify the underlying law which governs its appearance. The fact itself has no intrinsic value. It isn't important to natural science by itself, only as part of a general law. Windelband calls this kind of science nomothetic, from the Greek word nomos, meaning law. The fact serves as a step toward finding a law. But then there is another kind of science, says Windelband, which is concerned with the empirical facts in themselves. These are the historical sciences, and they seek to provide a complete and exhaustive description of a single more or less extensive process which is located within a unique, temporally defined domain of reality. This kind of science doesn't ask how language changes, but seeks to describe how my language has changed. In other words, it's an inquiry into specific historical facts for their own sake, with the purpose of breathing new life into them and giving historical events actuality. Windelband called this kind of science ideographic, from the Greek word idios, meaning itself. The fact is important in itself. Both kinds of sciences are empirical and investigate the world, but they look for different things. They can both explore nature, language, and society, but whereas the nomothetic sciences are interested in the general, the ideographic sciences are interested in the particular. The nomothetic sciences ask, what is always the case? The ideographic ask, what was once the case? The natural sciences are primarily useful because they enable us to predict the future. History gives us a sense of identity and the uniqueness of lived life. Windelband's division of sciences into nomothetic and ideographic has not gone uncriticized, but it's all the same becoming a milestone in the reflection of the purpose of history. Against the positivists, he found a purpose for history not connected with finding laws of development. Against the historicists, he found a purpose for philosophy, that of justifying the objective of history philosophically. Windelband ends his lecture by appealing for philosophical logic to put as much effort into analyzing the historical sciences as it has the natural sciences. And it must be said in fairness that this appeal was largely met in the self-critical period we today know as postmodernism. That's all about Windelband, history and natural science. If you want to learn more about theories of history, you can check out some of my other videos. Thanks for watching. See you.